The Galactic Council had convened in emergency session for the first time in 3 centuries. Representatives from 47 species filled the crystalline amphitheater orbiting Nexus Prime, their voices creating a cacophony of clicks, hisses, and harmonic tones that the universal translators struggled to process. At the center of the debate stood Ambassador Zefkar of the Hegemony, his 6 arms gesticulating wildly as his chitinous exoskeleton shifted to the deep purple that indicated extreme agitation among his kind. "The humans must be contained," he declared, his translator rendering his words in the common tongue. "In less than 50 standard cycles, they have disrupted the established order that has maintained galactic peace for millennia." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. The humans were indeed a problem. Since achieving faster-than-light travel, they had spread across the galaxy like a plague, establishing colonies on worlds that other species had deemed uninhabitable. Worse still, they had begun forming alliances with the galaxy's outcasts. The species too weak or too primitive to matter in galactic politics. Council Speaker Morden, an ancient crystalline being whose form pulsed with millennia of accumulated wisdom, raised one translucent appendage for silence. "What exactly do you propose, Ambassador? The humans have violated no galactic laws. Their expansion, while aggressive, has been conducted within established protocols." "Then we change the protocols," Zefkar hissed. "We invoke the Primitive Species Containment Act. Quarantine their systems, limit their expansion to their current borders." The motion was seconded by the Vorthan representative, whose species had lost 3 potential colony worlds to human settlers in the past decade. One by one, the great powers of the galaxy voiced their support. The humans, after all, were newcomers. They had no established allies among the Council's voting members. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would be contained. 3 months later, Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching as the Galactic Council's enforcement fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. 200 ships, representing the combined might of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations, arranged themselves in a perfect blockade formation. "Impressive," her tactical officer observed. "They've brought everything short of their dreadnoughts." Admiral Chen smiled grimly. At 62, she had spent her entire career preparing for this moment. The day when humanity's rapid expansion would finally provoke a response from the established galactic order. "Signal the fleet. All ships to defensive positions." The human fleet that emerged from behind Earth's moon was modest by galactic standards. 37 vessels of various classes. To any observer, it appeared to be a hopeless mismatch. The Council's fleet commander, Admiral Vextor of the Hegemony, opened a communication channel. "Human vessels, you are in violation of Galactic Council Resolution 2847. Stand down immediately and prepare to be escorted to designated containment zones." Admiral Chen's response was calm and measured. "Admiral Vextor, I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. Humanity doesn't recognize the authority of any government we didn't help elect. You have 30 minutes to withdraw from our system before we consider your presence an act of war." Vextor's mandibles clicked in what his species considered laughter. "Admiral Chen, you face the combined might of 47 civilizations. Your bravado is admirable but futile. Admiral, you're about to learn why humans don't make threats. We make promises." The Council fleet advanced in perfect formation, their energy shields shimmering like aurora around each vessel. It was a sight that had broken the will of countless species throughout galactic history. the inexorable advance of overwhelming force. But the human fleet didn't retreat. Instead, they did something that no species in galactic history had ever attempted. They scattered, not in panic, but in a carefully choreographed pattern that seemed to make no tactical sense. "What are they doing?" Vextor demanded of his tactical officer. "Unknown, sir. They're spreading throughout the system, but maintaining communication links. It's almost as if..." The first surprise came from the asteroid belt. What the Council had dismissed as mining operations suddenly revealed themselves as weapons platforms. Kinetic projectiles, accelerated to significant fractions of light speed, began hammering the Council fleet's flanks. Then the moons of Jupiter opened fire. Then the research stations around Saturn. Then the communication arrays scattered throughout the outer system. Within minutes, the Council fleet found itself under attack from every direction by an enemy they couldn't see, couldn't predict, and couldn't effectively counter. The humans hadn't built a fleet to meet them in traditional battle. They had turned their entire star system into a weapon. "This is impossible," Vextor breathed, as another section of his fleet disappeared under concentrated fire. "No species fights like this. You're supposed to meet us in honorable combat." Admiral Chen's voice carried across the void, steady and implacable. "Admiral, you made the same mistake every bully in galactic history has made. You assumed that because we're young, we're weak. Because we're small, we're helpless. But you forgot something important about humans. We don't fight fair. We fight to win." The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes. Of the 200 ships that had entered the Sol system with such confidence, only 43 limped away, their hulls scarred and their crews traumatized. But the real shock came in the weeks that followed. Across the galaxy, the species that the Council had dismissed as primitive or irrelevant began to stir. The Altarian colonies declared independence. The Centauri Confederacy withdrew from the Council. The Outer Rim territories, inspired by humanity's example, began forming their own alliances. The message was clear. The age of the great powers dictating terms to the rest of the galaxy was over. Humanity had shown that with ingenuity, determination, and the refusal to accept defeat, even the smallest species stand against the mightiest empires. And in the halls of the Galactic Council, where representatives had once spoken with absolute authority, a new phrase began to circulate. Whispered at first, then spoken with growing respect and not a little fear. Never underestimate the humans. The galaxy would never be the same.